It is a very beautiful day today in the city of Ilaro, being May 14th. It's the 14th day in the month of May 2026. I welcome you to this program, Poly TV Newspaper Review and Analysis. I'm Samuel Olaniyo, and I'm being joined in the studio by our newspaper and current affair analyst, Mr. Deji Adeyemi. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much, Sam.
All right. Well, let's get straight to it. Today we have.
Before we get straight to it, let me just extend my warm greetings to you on your birthday.
All right.
I think you deserve it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Hardworking, high-flying broadcaster. And may the years ahead prove right for you.
All right, thank you so much. Let me just say this, since you already mentioned it. Today is my birthday, and I'm really excited. It's really a very long journey indeed, a very one, slow but steady. And once again, happy birthday. I'm thankful for those kind words, sir.
Thank you too.
All right, so let's get started. We have the Guardian, we have the Punch, we have the Vanguard, we also have the Nigerian Tribune newspaper to look at this afternoon. Let's get straight to the world of the Guardian newspaper. On the front page of the Guardian, it's quite a very interesting expose that says IMF exposes Nigeria's budgeting gaps as execution crisis deepens. And we have various infographics on the front page of the Guardian newspaper talking about the Nigeria's fiscal fragility, the rising cost of budgets, indiscipline, how some lawmakers, pad budget, and a whole lot of all holistic, character of the world of the budget related to budgeting. I want to find out from you. You've seen in the past where a lot of amount of money is pumped into various projects. In the long run, those projects are probably upon nearing completion, they are abandoned, and then we have cases of where budgets are padded with unnecessary. Imagine trying to get as much as getting maybe I think food for pets, having to sell it to. We've seen such cases in Nigeria. What's your take, sir?
Well, like you said, or as in the headline there, it says we should look at it holistically. That is, budget. Budget is such that in some years back, people don't care whether whenever budgets are being read or each cycle of budget, because it's like, oh, that's too far from me. I'm here in Ilaro, they are in Abuja. But these days, we have found out that you will need to be aware of economic policies and even activities because they affect your own day-to-day living. Tax, government policies, maybe restriction on goods and services coming in, and so many things. And what do you find out? But the situation is even getting worse in the sense that people, budgets are made, but not implemented. Or in fact, in some cases, not implementable. Because how do you budget for a particular sector and you don't give money for the implementation of the sum of naira that you had budgeted maybe for, let's take for example a tertiary health institution. I remember that not too long ago, the Minister for Health, Professor Pate, was talking about the kind of ridiculous amount of money that came into the ministry in spite of the fact that billions had been earmarked for the health sector. Very ridiculous amount of money. And then we will say that budgets are not implemented or whatever. And they transfer it to another budget cycle. Maybe 2022 to 2023, 2023, 2024. So you cannot even monitor the
The project
the
funding.
project funding. Because what you are supposed to have done 12 months back, you are still doing now, and you're not doing it full blast. You are still doing it in such a manner that it's like something dropping instrumentally. So I think it's a thing that government needs to work
Looking to.
on. Make sure that when budgets are made, they should cash back it.
Okay.
There must be money for it. So, and all these systems are in place. It is just working it. There are apart from the ministries, there are agencies that do such things like monitoring of
Monitoring,
government,
evaluation.
yes, evaluation and all the rest of it. But why we're still going in circles, I don't know.
All right, that's just the Nigerian factor, I guess. All right, thank you for that insight. We move straight to one of the Punch newspaper. On the Punch newspaper, we have a story from the petroleum industry. It says Dangote rejects NNPC offer to increase stake in refinery. Dangote rejects NNPC offer to increase stake in refinery. Refinery supplies over 3.2 trillion naira petrol to build local market in 3 months amid falling imports. US-Iran conflict boosts refinery earnings. Output climbs to 661 per barrel, and also Dangote Group has $100 billion revenue target by 2030, while refinery declined NNPC offer. Well, there's been a whole lot of back and forth between Dangote and NNPC at some point. Even I think they had issues with the union. It seems NNPC hasn't come to the terms with the privatization of anybody can get into the business of doing of refining the what we call the fuel and all that. Do you think there's any need for them to probably increase their stake, because they were there before now and then?
It's a pity. Who did they think Dangote is? One stupid guy going to office? You have spent money, invested money into a project, and you see, somebody is now coming in, or somebody is now coming in to say that we want to increase our stake. No, the thing in 2021, when Dangote was packaging all this, of course, by their agreement or memorandum of understanding, the NNPC was to have 20% stake in the ownership structure, and of course they paid for 7.5%, saying that they are going to upscale maybe by 2024.
Okay.
When 2024 came, they still wouldn't do it. They still wouldn't. Of course, the owner of the business will look for other
investors.
Yes, other investors to come and invest, or the owner will have a plan.
Of course.
That at this point, this amount of ownership thing will be involved, and not the rest of it. So what you find out is that, of course, Dangote told them that no, it's not. Things are not done like that. We are talking of corporate governance at the global level this time around. And what you look at again is the fact that Dangote presently is smiling to the banks. Yes, with the US-Iran war.
Yes, of course.
The price of oil is climbing, is rising
every day,
and it is money for him. He was in an interview he had with one international news outlet. He mentioned something like fertilizer in the global market used to be $800, but now is $1,300 or maybe 1,800. I can't really, but so you can imagine the kind of money he would have made
from that.
And what you find out again is that it's a hybrid of a scenario that you just wonder, because of Dangote's entry into the oil business, especially refining business. Nigeria has maybe an abundance of local supplies to an extent that imports for PMS has dropped drastically because Dangote is there supplying, and it's even cheaper when you look at because he's here. You won't be talking about freight
at all
with him because if you have to bring fuel from UK or India,
the cost of bringing it and all that,
the cost of and it's passed down to the consumer. So I just think that NNPCL should just wake up and work as a limited liability company because that's what the L
all right, thank you for that insight, and that takes us to the world of Daily Trust newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Trust is quite a very interesting and also intriguing story. It says, as Mambila project stalls, court jails Maman 75 years for 33.8 billion naira fraud, and this is another government official, the former minister of power. These were money, these were funds that were meant to probably,
of course, to give us electricity.
Were you expecting probably 200 years or so? And to what extent, that's on the lighter one, to what extent do you think this is justice well served to the common?
I think the fact remains that it was taken to the court after investigations, and the judge or justice was served. Then, of course, I'm not surprised. The only thing is that the judge himself or herself would have been somebody who is so pained about the lack of electricity that we are running through in Nigeria to have given me 75 years in jail. But what you find out is that it still has the appeal court and the Supreme Court to go. But all the same, 33 billion naira. How many years does it remain to spend on that? And what will you do with 33 billion naira? I don't know. Maybe just my own attitude. My own attitude to life. I don't know. Okay, if you are a businessman and you are doing stuff like Dangote, Rabiu,
of course, what's 33 billion naira?
What's 33 billion naira? But these are people who probably came from maybe civil service, maybe
civil service. I wouldn't take that. we have diligent civil servants, who are very
I'm not even casting aspersions. But what you just find out is that what I mean is that they get into position
and then forget where they come from.
Yes,
right.
All
right, let's really look at another newspaper, and that would be the Nigerian Tribune. On the front page of, we also have that same story about jailing the ex-power minister. Let's really take a switch to another story. It says, I will choose competence over party, Makinde on choice of successor. Ekiti-Guba Fayose Ojudu described Oyebanji as builder of modern Ekiti. I think we're currently in the tomorrow or so. I think that's the primary for most probably APC or we connected to.
Yeah,
so we're expecting to see a whole lot of I don't want to say surprising or shocking consensus agreements were arranged in some states. In some states, they weren't successful. For instance, I'm aware that Ogun State has, apart from the consensus candidate, we also have another person who picked up the ticket. In some other states, like Lagos State, outside the deputy governor, some other person also picked up the ticket. How do you think this arrangement of consensus is really the right way to go?
Well,
How democratic do you think
is it?
yeah, is it?
It's like a coin with two sides. It has its pros and the cons, and then it's the policy of APC to use consensus. But where consensus does not hold, then they go for primaries, uh, direct primaries that way. And what I think is that, you see, the issue of consensus, if not properly handled, it could be counterproductive in the sense that some people will be aggrieved, no doubt, and if they are not properly pacified, then of course it could shift the balance. I mean, because and of course, look at the situation. You see, it's a it's a musical game, chair. What I mean by that is that look at Makinde,
Yeah,
Governor Makinde in Oyo State, saying that I am going to choose who is competent, and like when people say that the governors have turned themselves into emperors,
demigods.
yes. Why must it be I am going to do this? Isn't it democracy that we are running? Let people vote for whoever they want. And of course, so all these things sometimes can raise a cult of Babasokwe's. Yes, because everybody is talking consensus. Consensus is fine. It helps the party. There's unity, there's bond amongst them, and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, only God knows what it will bring. But of course, it's like going to a battle. Sometimes you win,
sometimes you lose.
You lose.
All right. Finally, on the world of Vanguard newspaper, I'm still on politics. It says 2027. Kwankwaso tackles Baba Ahmed over alleged demands for PRP presidential ticket. Rejected Obi. Kwankwaso's request for presidential ticket. That's coming from Baba Ahmed. PRP chair seeking attention, says Kwankwasia movement. A lot seems to be going not well for the oppositions. I don't know if you quite agree. You have the on one part you have the APM, who's yet to announce their presidential candidates. We also have the ADC, being in court here and there. You have the PDP divided factions. You also have the new party, that's the NDC. And then for this particular one, we have report that Kwankwaso wanted tickets for PRP. And at the last minute, he opted to go for the VP slot together with Obi. Do you think he has reduced himself to so much just for political gains?
Well, it's not about reducing himself rather. I think they consulted with PRP. Is it PRP?
Yes. Yeah, PRP, yes.
PRP. And obviously, their talks didn't go well. And that's they now moved from PRP to NDC. They are already a tag team, Obi and Kwankwaso. So what they are looking for is just a platform. It's just a platform so that they can go into the elections as one. But what we found out, I don't know, the Baba Ahmed, that's the chairman
of PRP.
Of PRP. Yes, there's nothing wrong in Obi and Kwankwaso asking that this is what they want. It is you who will now put down your own demands or requests. It's a negotiating thing. You negotiate. This is what I want. This is what is available, and all the rest of. And if talks don't go well, of course you shift, you move on, and I've moved on to NDC. However, the issue of the opposition, the strength of the opposition uh, going into the 2027 elections is quite unfortunate because they all have
Various issues.
issues
Yeah, to
all over
sort
the
out.
place. Yes. And well, let's still thank God that the Supreme Court gave a leeway for ADC because if they have not done that, we probably won't have any significant opposition at
Position.
all. And even in ADC, I mean, let's look at it. How are they going to make sure that they put together an arsenal that would
Defeat
defeat or confront,
the
not even
incumbent.
talk
Okay,
about
confront
confront
the incumbent.
the incumbent or the APC as a party.
Hmm.
They will have to work so hard.
Okay, I think we just have about few months to the polls next year,
yes.
February or so. Only time is going to tell concerning 27 general election. I want to thank you for your time, Mr. Adejade, for those insightful analyses on various stories across the national daily. And once again, thanks for the birthday wishes.
Thank you. Wishing you well always.
All right, thank you so much. I'm Samuel Olanio. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.